So what's up? How you doing today? Welcome to the first installment of Beyond the Melody, a new series. I'm going to be starting to be building off my vocal melody for guitar series. I made that first one a while back. Playing the melody of a tune is a big thing for me. It's a big focus of what I do with a lot of my playing. And I didn't know if people were going to like it or not, but it seems to be getting a good reception. So I've made a lot of them now. I'm going to continue to make a lot more. But I keep getting asked questions on, now what do I do next for scales and notes and things like that. So I thought it'd be good to make a Beyond the Melody series that's going to forget the melody for now. We're going to focus just on scales and different types of notes, which is still just a fraction of what's going on musically. I like to think about all these different elements of music, like rhythm and phrasing and silence and all these things that maybe I'll make a whole series on that at some point too, on the whole, sphere of elements of music. But for now, we're going to focus on just the notes for the tune. And then I have planned a third part of the series that I'm hoping to make these 3 parts for all the songs that I do them for. And that will be putting the melody, the stuff that I'm going to go over here together, and how they integrate in a big structure so that we can think of the big picture and not just be playing random things, but get a real arcing structure to our improvised solos and stuff. So hopefully you enjoy this and will want to tune in for the next part in the series as well. But we're going to start with Sugaree by the Grateful Dead. So if you haven't already, go check out the melody series. But for this, we're going to look at non-melody stuff, just the notes. So the first thing we're going to know was what key is it in? And what are we soloing over? We're going to solo over the main, the part the solo is, which is the verse kind of intro part. It's just B and E. So what scale, what key is it in? So some people may think it's E, right? They may think it's E. They might think it's B. You may assume B probably because the B is the first chord, and that's just B major. And based on that info, it could be. Except that major 7th doesn't sound quite right. So it's really B mixolydian, which is the same as E major. So some people may think it's E. Why would I say B mixolydian and not just E major? Because it may seem more confusing. Why don't we just think, if we know the major scale, well, we'll just always think of the major scale. The problem with that kind of thinking, although I should say if it works for you, by all means go for it. But the problem that happens is that we're having to constantly translate whatever key it is in if it's in some other mode. And especially with a lot of Grateful Dead tunes, they're mostly in mixolydian modes. Then you have to translate, what's the kind of parent major scale that it's all from, and figure it out from there. And in this case, we are playing E just as much as B to E, equal amount of time. So why not just think of E? But the problem is, it sounds to me like B is like the more dominant chord. That doesn't sound like the one chord of a key, like the E, it's gonna rest, boom, right on it. It sounds like B. It's not totally, solid because it's a mixolydian mode. It's not like a major mode where it's gonna really be restful on that one chord, the chord of the mode, of the major scale, but much, much more restful than the E, I'd say. And they end the song on the B, so it's kind of an indicator, they're leaning towards the B. So in this case, it makes for a B mixolydian mode based on other, chords that are in the song as well, which we're not going to have to even deal with because this song is just soloed over the B and E, luckily for us, so it makes it easier. So with that being said, quick explanation of why it's B mixolydian. If you don't follow that, don't worry about it. We've got the scale chart right here, and just know that these notes basically work. It's just the B major scale with a flatted 7, right? So I've got it all mapped out for the whole fretboard, and if that's overwhelming for you, just pick one spot. If you just pick like right around here, around this chord here, and let's give it a listen though. Let's hear me playing it in the context of a backing track, hearing what it sounds like, just kind of, I hate to say noodling because I like to get away from the noodling with jam band stuff, but just kind of going up and down the mixolydian mode, and you can see how it kind of fits all together. So let's give it a quick listen, and then we'll check out the next set of notes. next step is to learn the notes of the chord. So again, it's just B and E. And say we're doing it right around here is a good spot. We do this B like this. In inversion, it's if you're doing the thing about the cage shapes, it's the G shape, which is really kind of crazy to play the whole thing. But we can just play like the middle 4 like this. And that would be our B. It fits this song actually great because it's a real soulful kind of inversion. It's the big Hendrix. So we got that. And then for the E, we can play the C shape. So it's like playing C. So we want to take the notes of those chords and not just be playing the scale randomly, but say focusing on right here, you know, for the B, and then you can play that for the E as well because it's in both chords. So if you focus on B, wherever it is, B here, B there, wherever, that's going to just fit nicely over the whole progression, right? Let's say you do that, and then you could go down to here. That would be the third, G sharp, the third of E. And this is a nice one because it's just going kind of nice and slow back and forth. So let's give it a quick listen though of me just playing around, focusing on the chord tones, and you can hear how it sounds like I'm playing along with the changes instead of just playing over it. The first time with the scale, it's kind of this more dense sound, and it's good for a little while, but if you do that just non-stop, it's going to sound a little exhausting. So this is now just a little more sparse, but playing with the chords. So let's hear how that sounds. So you can see it sounds more melodic already because I'm playing right along with the chords. And a good way is to have a good mix of that. You're playing the scale a lot, these different patterns, sometimes just playing notes of the chords, and then eventually getting to the point where we're playing, you know, fast runs, but we're deliberately outlining the chords as well. And that's getting us closer to the step of sounding more like Jerry Garcia or, you know, many great players too. But it's particularly a big part of his sound. You know, he's always got kind of a melody underneath what he's playing, or we should say always, but a lot of the times. And sometimes it's the melody tune, sometimes it's a different melody he may be hearing in his head, or it's just notes of the chords, and that naturally will make us sound more melodic because we're linked up with the chords and not just the scale. So the third last thing that we can do with notes that I think just works really well with this tune is to use a major pentatonic for each one. So we can use a diagonal shape. I really like to use, it's a great, it's kind of like sweet spots at different, you know, spots. So rather than just playing, you know, across the position here and here and stuff, just taking the little sweet spots. So you end up with a diagonal shape, and you end up with a lot of just 2-fret patterns. So 2 frets, here's a B right here. Oops. Right, so for B, and then when we get to the E, we'll do the same thing for E. So it's similar as playing the chord tones. And then a lot of the same notes actually, you know, we're just really focusing on that E is a big change. Yeah. So, you know, but let's give it a quick listen. Same idea, hearing this in the context of a backing track, and then let's wrap it up. So you can hear that kind of flows nicely. So to recap, we've got the 3 different note ideas, and it's just scratching the surface. I just thought that these were kind of the easiest and best approach to just, you know, breaking outside maybe the box of where you're in now and getting to understand the notes a little better for a song like Sugaree. And that first one is knowing the overall mode, and that's Mixolydian. So it's like B major, but with a flat 7, so B Mixolydian. And that, you can just use that and just works great, you know. And if you want to take it to the next level, the second one is hitting those chord tones. So looking at the maps, I kind of just mapped it all out there. Don't be overwhelmed, just pick one spot, even just one note, you know, and see about playing that over the chord and then one note over the next chord and really just slowly growing from there. And then the third one is using major pentatonics and using that diagonal shape to slide around and give you that sound that's real smooth, that can be real soulful and fit with the vibe, I think, of Sugaree really well. So try, you know, playing with each of those and then sliding in and out of those different ideas and anything else that comes to mind well. And of course, don't forget about the other musical elements like rhythm, phrasing, your tone, the timbre, and all that stuff too. But of course, I've got a practice backing track, and I'll put these charts up so you can follow along and try out these things yourself and develop your own sound yourself. So I will hopefully see you in the next video. Take it easy.